We have a fascinating first temple period archaeological discovery to share with you right from the heart of it all at the Temple Mount Sifting Project in Jerusalem. Well, Israeli tour guide Danny the Digger Herman joins us now. So, my friend, what have we found?
Well, there's never a dull moment in this region, not from a political point of view and also not from an archaeological point of view. And the latest is a sifting of debris that uncovered a little tiny, like a button or a small coin. But we already know that sometimes these things can be quite important. And in the context of the First Temple period, they're called a bulla, which is a seal impression. They were used to seal documents, which unfortunately ended up being worn out or burnt when the Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem. But then that cover of the document baked and became hard like a pottery, and then it can last. And the latest one that just surfaced and made kind of a headlines is a small one that is not completely readable, but there's enough there to say that it's of the clerk called Yeda'aya, probably son of Asiyahu. Now, okay, maybe our audience and nor do we found any of those names familiar, but you go to the Bible to, the Bible lexicon, and Asiyahu was a clerk or a high official in the administration of King Josiah. Okay, second book of Kings, chapter 12, chapter 22, verses 12, tells us of the King Josiah discovering this great book, and then he sends a delegation to Huldah, the prophetess, and one of them is Asiyahu, whose even title is Eved HaMelech, which literally means slave of the king, but it actually meant a high official in the courtyard of the king. So the assumption is that this bulla belonged to his son. Usually clerks, like any administration, they tend to have some level of nepotism, and then if there's a high clerk, his son also ends up getting the same job, and this might be the case.
See, I love this because, if you find something now, obviously it'd be amazing if we found something that said, this was Solomon's chair. That'd be great. But, these are bigger names. What I love from an apologetic standpoint is these little names, these names that you just gloss over in scripture, where no one would quote unquote fake this, where it's like, these things are just found 2,600 years later. That story is also found in Second Chronicles chapter 34, verse 20, where you have Asayahu, the king's attendant, in verse 20. Again, okay. My encouragement to you, my friend, if you're watching this, is sometimes we read these scripture and it's like, who are all these dudes? Why are they all listed? I don't know exactly what God's up to, but I think it's pretty cool that we can see these names validated in scripture. Now, does this Bula mean for 100% certain that it's this guy? A lot of things line up archaeologically, but is it 100% certain? Maybe not. But here's the thing, Danny. This isn't the first Bula we found right from the pages of the Bible. We have some pretty famous ones too. Can you maybe give us a couple more examples of these Bulas we have found in Jerusalem?
Usually when you dig the Iron Age level, you don't have coins yet, you don't have frescoes, mosaic floors. It's pretty dull. It's pottery shards and walls. And then if you find one of those bulas, that can really make your day, if not the whole season. And we already know of quite a few clerks from the administration of King Josiah, King Hezekiah, King Zedekiah. Okay, and one of the more famous of them was Yeshayahu HaNovi, which either could be some person called Isaiah from Nov, or maybe Isaiah HaNavi, the prophet.
Wow.
And that would have been quite amazing if we actually found the seal impression of the most famous biblical prophet. We also have a seal impression now, even of a king. For the first time ever, we have a verified bulla found in proper excavations in Jerusalem that says Hezekiah, son of Ahaz, king of Judah. That's on prime display at the Israel Museum. And I assume it's a matter of time and the big names will also appear. A bulla of David, a bulla of Solomon, and so on.
When you take a tour of the city of David, they'll often show you these two bullahs. I think it's like Gedalia, son of Pashur. I forget the other one. But what's really interesting is they're both names located in the book of Jeremiah.
Right.
Not only are they both in the book of Jeremiah, they're in the same chapter. Not only are they on the same chapter, they're in the same verse. Not only are they same verse, so they're back to back, and you find them right there at the city of David. Oh, I love it. Archaeology fires me up, just because people say, prove to me that all these people in the Bible were real and this all happened, and God's like, okay, dig right there. But Danny, I know this also fires you up for other reasons. When people say, that there's no Jewish connection to the land, and yet archaeology is just kind of overwhelming, how do you process it?
Well, what else can I provide as proof? This is the ultimate testimony of Jewish existence here in the past. It's little names of clerks that one would not forge to make a big sensation in order to sell them. They're genuine finds made by chance when systematic digs are conducted, proving again and again and again the rich and long Jewish past of this land. Here is a message from a clerk 2,000, nearly 700 years ago. And by the way, they also announced this week the discovery of an important and rare coin that dates to more or less the time of Jesus, when the Jews rebelled against the Romans. It has the year 4 on it. And if the Jewish rebellion started in the spring of year 66, that's a coin from just about year 70, shortly before the Romans destroyed Jerusalem. Again, showing Jewish presence clearly in this land, in this case about 2,000 years ago. So all of this claim by the woke leftish generation on Western media, we are white colonizers. Guys, this is nonsense. I speak the same language that's my first language, the language that is on those coins and on those bullahs. We were here in the past, face it.
That's good stuff. And what's interesting is even when I've been reading the book of Jeremiah, and even when Nebuchadnezzar took basically all of Israel and Judah into captivity, there's always these lines where, but he left the poor, he left a remnant. And I think you can make an argument, a very founded argument, that for basically the past 3,500 some odd years, there's been a continual Jewish presence in the land. Now, obviously, there's times where it's more, where it's less. But the idea that the Jewish people aren't indigenous to that land is just not proven by history, not proven by archaeology. So, Daniel, let me ask you this one last.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this one last question, and maybe I didn't really prepare you for this, but this is a comment we get in the YouTube section. This is overwhelming evidence, but then people will say, well, you guys aren't the I should have prepared you, but the comment is, you guys aren't the biblical Jews. You're a different version of Jews, or something like that, or like you're not the real Jews. Have you seen this comment, and how would you respond?
Yeah, there is a ridiculous claim that we're all Ashkenazi Jews, and we are a result of some tribe called the Khuzaris, who converted to Judaism in the 10th century. And we adopted this identity, and then in the Zionist 19th century movement, colonized this land. It couldn't be more ridiculous. For one thing, there's no evidence of Ashkenazi Judaism created by the Khuzari. Quite the opposite. We have ample of evidence of Christians fighting against the Jews in France and in Spain and in England and in Germany in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th century, meaning there were Jews there. They didn't all of a sudden show up from Russia. And we're not only Ashkenazi Jews. I mean, okay, my bloodline is Eastern Europe, but my wife's bloodline, she's half Iraqi. Okay, her mother is a descendant of the Jews exiled to Babylon that never came back until the Iraqis kicked them out in the 1950s. And her dad's side is from Chile, but it's really Turkish, which is really the Jews kicked out of Spain in the 16th century, moving to Turkey. Some even came here. Her specific father's family went to Turkey, then escaped the racism, anti-Semitism in the 1930s. And the minute the state of Israel was created, they came here. We are Jews from all corners of the world that had to leave for one reason or another, and now we are back. face it, and we're not going anywhere. And we are willing to reconcile. We are willing to split this land. The Palestinians were offered so many times a split of this land, and as one of our leaders said already in the 1970s, they never failed an opportunity to fail the opportunity to end the conflict and create, a good neighborship with the Jewish state. So here we are, we are in a conflict, and I'm just an hour and somewhat away from the Gaza Strip. Sometimes at night you can even hear the explosions. We're not going anywhere. Okay, this is the land. This is our right to live back in our land, and the Arab world and the left will have to just get along with it.
Danny, you are one of one, my brother. Thank you so much. Danny the Digger Herman, God bless, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you, and goodbye.